Welcome to Dorks on Sports, podcast about four dorks talking about sports. My name is Daniel. I'm here joined, as always, by my dear friend, Curtis Eastwood. How are you doing over there, Curtis?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. He says that smile is like painted on.
It's what I went through in the 1990s rooting for the Seattle Seahawks.
I know. I always knew that this day was coming. You know, I've been a fan of the Seahawks. We've been a fan of the Seahawks for a long time, and when they were bad, and when they're good, you know, in like those prime years when we were winning Super Bowls and stuff like that, I was telling myself, I got to enjoy this moment. It's always really nice when your team is winning, but it's cyclical. And, you know, it could be in 10 years, we could be the Jacksonville Jaguars again. And as the Mariners have showed us, that can sometimes go on for 20 years. Enjoy this moment. And then, you know, a day may come. I don't think that day has come yet, but I am steeling myself. I am emotionally preparing for that day to come.
You just got to keep that smile going.
I know. Yeah. Alana, how are you doing over there?
Doing all right. I think kind of adjacent to this conversation, it's important to remember that the NFL doesn't survive without parity. Like exactly. It is within the league's best financial interest and just general like population interest for there to be many teams that have the possibility to win. That's why we see 6 new teams in the playoffs every year.
It's a feature of the product.
Yes.
What is happening? Yes. Yeah. 100%. We got Millie over there looking serious. You got that.
It's a sad day here in Seattle.
It is. It has not been a great year for Seattle sports. I mean,
I totally disagree. We got a brand new hockey team.
The brand new hockey team who they finally won a game after dropping like 6 in a row.
Well, they do a good team.
I love the direction. I know. The Sounders are in the playoff. They're doing pretty well.
No, it's just a sad day for the Seahawks fandom. I mean, we've seen it before. We'll see it again. I'm just, I'm wallowing a little bit.
Fair.
I didn't want to be right. I don't mean to bring last week's predictions in this early. I didn't want to be right.
So here we go. So we got the Cardinals at home, and we got like the perfect setup. We got the Cardinals with Colt McCoy. They didn't have their star quarterback who'd been lighting the league up all season long. And then we completely lay an egg, and Colt McCoy ends up, throwing some underneath passes all over that Seattle defense.
Colt McCoy, though, who also beat us last season.
Yeah, God, that game was weirdly more competitive, and he was on a worse team. It was Colt McCoy is a Seahawks killer. He is Carroll in Seattle because he beat him. He beat Seattle in a freaking just a mutter, gross, disgusting game in like Cleveland back in I think like 2011. Like 6-3 or something like that. It was Colt McCoy versus Charlie Whitehurst in that game.
Woo! Love those days.
Oh yeah, the days of Charlie Whitehurst.
Jesus.
Anybody who wants to trade Russell Wilson, I just want to say Charlie Whitehurst. Okay,
right. He's got great hair. He's so handsome. What'd you see in the game, Millie?
In the Seahawks game?
Yeah.
Not a lot. What did I see? I saw a lot of frustration is what I saw. I saw a defense that continues to show some really good sparks and then do some really dumb shit.
Dumb things.
Expect it. Yeah. I saw, a couple bright spots. I saw the usual Rashad Penny, had this great run right at the beginning. And then, he was hurt.
Tore a hammy. Yeah.
Tore his hammy.
He tore
then
his
I
hammy
saw-
on that
Throw his
play.
hammy right after his first run, that 18-yard run. He's done.
Like
Beautiful.
in the
Yeah.
chat, I was like, it looks like he
Yeah.
hurt himself, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did. What I also saw, though, let's just give a shout out to my pocket locket, who reminded us what happens when he's thrown a ball he can catch and not interfered with. And
Well,
then
and
let's
he
not
had,
forget
what-
the beauty of catching one of those balls, standing up and being tossed to the ground and getting
Yeah.
one of those beautiful yellow flags he's so good at getting.
He is so good at getting those. Yeah. I think he had a great game, actually. I'll say there were two great players in that game, and that was Tyler Lockett and Bobby Wagner. I thought Bobby Wagner was just super solid in that game. I mean, he ended with like 14 tackles and a forced fumble or something like that.
Yeah, but his pass coverage ratings and PFF were terrible.
Yeah.
Like
I think, both
were-
those Ertz touchdowns were with Bobby in coverage.
And so this is a question I have, because I've been noticing that, right? Like the quarterbacks all season long, the success against the Seahawks is just like the receiver finds a hole open in the middle of the field, and any quarterback with any kind of accuracy can hit them. Is this a product of our linebackers who can't cover, or is this a product of our scheme that sucks?
Scheme.
I think it's scheme too. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily Bobby's fault.
I think it's a little bit scheme and a lot of bit defensive line. There's not enough disruption to. I mean, they used to invite those throws over the middle when they had,
Cam Chancellor.
when they had Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill and Frank Clark and a host of other people, that could cause disruption. And that the idea is getting the quarterback to throw a bad pass.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
So, but if you don't, go ahead. Sorry, Curtis.
Well, there's outside of maybe Darrell Taylor, there's nobody that can consistency win a one-on-one battle getting off the blocker. There's not that disruptive force on the defensive line, and it's glaring. It's bad. It's a bad defensive line in terms of pass rush. They're all right at stopping the run, against certain teams, but they're terrible at being disruptive.
So my question though is and why I point it back to scheme is, don't you think we have enough information to recognize that the defensive line isn't up to the task of rushing the quarterback and putting pressure on the quarterback? So then you change the scheme to meet the skill set of the players that you have. And to me, that's pretty obvious. I understand that you don't have a lot of in-season practices, but these are intelligent men who are playing the game. You can
and experienced men,
and experienced men. You can throw them an adjustment. You can make in-season adjustments to account for your players. What the fuck happens if you lose? Didn't they have a backup plan when they lost Trey Brown and DJ Reed? Like they do. And those players have different skill sets. So they change the playbook for them a little bit. They make it easier. They adjust it in some way. Why can't we do that with the fact that we have a different defensive line than we wanted to make this defense work?
Yeah, that's different than rushing to and dropping everybody else.
I think that's a great question to ask. I think it's a valid point. I mean, from a defensive lineman's position, you can scheme stunts, where you got
it's not even about
the end of the
scheming.
tackles spinning around and stuff like that, but they're trying to rush through their aligned gaps, and they're not winning. They're not winning the rush. There's different things. They could send Jamal Adams,
which they've hardly done this
year. They did the week before again in Green Bay, and then they went away from that this week. It
doesn't seem to me like the goal or the solution is to The solution to me is to scheme a different style of play out of the secondary and the linebackers to accommodate the fact that the pressure isn't getting there. It's not about changing the attempt at getting pressure, because I think that if you attempt to get pressure, you will get better over the course of a year. It's how do these linebackers adjust to the fact that we're not getting to the quarterback? How do these cornerbacks adjust to the fact that we're not getting to the quarterback?
I think, this all goes down to something that we've been complaining about all season long, which is this team has no identity.
Right.
On either offense or defense. There is zero identity. And this is really the first time I have seen on a Pete Carroll coach team where not even the defense can adjust to the games. Like, we've seen the offense not be able to adjust to the games. We saw that last year. Neither the offense or the defense can adjust to what's happening on the field. It used to be the Seahawks can come out of halftime and have it all figured out. And we're coming out of halftime and getting beat even worse than before. Yeah. There was something
that's a really good point. Because that is something that we've come to rely on. And I think that was part of the personality, was when we're down, we make adjustments, and in the fourth quarter, magic happens.
Yes.
And we just don't have that.
And we used to be able to see that, just like you could see it on the sideline, those adjustments happening. And then, they come back. Tyler Lockett made a comment in his presser after the game. And, somebody was asking, what's the deal with the struggles, and Tyler Lockett said, they're playing us different than what we see on the tape, and we're not making the adjustments. I thought that was really interesting. What's super interesting about it is that Pete Carroll was then asked, can you comment on Tyler Lockett? And Pete Carroll said, well, you're assuming that he's right. And then they asked Russell Wilson the same thing, and Russell Wilson brushed it off and said, no, we just need to execute better. And, he kind of gave the Russell Wilson platitudes. I kind of think Tyler Lockett is right.
I think Tyler Lockett's onto something. I think this is a coaching thing. I'm going to be perfectly honest. 100%. There's a lack of detail. I mean, to go back to the linebacker situation that Alana brought up, why aren't we getting them playing? I mean, Dave Wyman, who does the color analysis on 710 for the radio broadcast, and is the afternoon host on that station, has complained that the linebackers aren't getting the right depths in their drops.
Totally.
Why aren't they? I mean, Ken Norton Jr. is a linebacker. Right. Was a linebacker coach on those Super Bowl teams.
But he ain't a defensive coordinator, I can tell you that.
I mean,
much.
it's just I don't know if Aaron Curry, I guess, is coaching them. I mean, was Aaron Curry a great linebacker in his heyday? Not really. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't want to lay blame on him, but that's a thing. And then I switched to another station, and I'm listening to Hugh Millen talk about how, on top of, Russ not throwing with anticipation, Waldron is drawing up weird, patterns for the receivers to run, where they should be running quick slants. They're kind of going vertical and slanting. And it's just kind of that little vertical movement is wasted motion to quickly get open, and it's just there's just weird lack of details that and then the other thing I was just going to throw out is that I came across this information a couple months ago, but Carroll has a ridiculously large coaching staff. So
it's the biggest in the NFL.
An obscene amount of coaches are paid to be on that staff. And I just wonder if there's just way too many cooks in the kitchen, like the receivers and all the skill players, and even the quarterback. They're just not on the same page. I mean, how does Russ do a pitch to the outside to
that was hard to
Alex
watch.
Collins, and Collins is thinking it's going to be an easy handoff,
right?
And like they were driving into the red zone.
Killed the momentum of that.
And it killed them. I mean, it's just like, these type of things, that's not what a well-coached team does.
No, I agree.
Not 10 games into the season. And I don't care if the starting quarterback hasn't been playing for a month. Like, those are things that you just don't do in a game. I mean, Colt McCoy wouldn't do that in the game. So it's gotta just be coaching. Seattle, Russell Wilson is not a bad quarterback. Right. Alex Collins is a capable running back. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are really good receivers.
They're the best receiving duo in the league.
Bobby Wagner is not a bad linebacker. He's probably top 5 middle linebacker still at his age.
But they're playing all time.
It's just like
right.
I just want to.
It's coaching.
There's one thing I want to say about why we lost that game. They threw up a stat in the fourth quarter, which was the number of plays that the teams had run. Arizona had run 73 and the Seahawks had run 43. They are last in the league in number of plays run per game because they cannot sustain drives and they cannot stop teams on third down.
Right.
That's not winning football.
That's not winning football. That's losing football.
You can't win. No.
Literally losing football.
And it's bad coaching. I agree with Curtis on that.
I think this is kind of a broken record at this point all season long. We've been saying, well, are they going to be able to get it together for next game? Are they going to be able to get it together next game? Millie, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions for next week against Washington?
Oh, for that rising star Washington football team.
I like their name.
Right? It's great.
Yeah.
Better than it was.
It sure is. Gosh.
And I like their coach. I like Ron.
Yeah, I do too.
Look, they're on the right track. Let's not blow sunshine. They're on the right track. Watching some success for them this season has been enjoyable, actually. So I'm happy to see the changes that they're making. I think they've got more changes to make, but good for them. As far as if we can beat them, well, now we're not in prime time, so we're.
I know we are still in that one because that's the Monday night game.
We're still.
Oh wait, I'm talking about the wrong game.
The Niners game is no longer.
The Niners
Sunday
game
night.
got flexed. Yeah.
Wait, but our next game is against
Washington.
Washington
football team.
All right, yeah.
You've got the schedule behind you.
I know.
Yeah, you just turn around and look at it. Or just look at your screen.
What's happening?
She can't turn around and look at that. That's a virtual image, Curtis.
What? I know.
We got the team formerly known as the racial slurs.
Once I turned around to look at the schedule once, so I understand. So wait a minute, are we playing on Sunday or Monday? I'm so confused now.
It's Monday Night Football, man.
Oh no, it's Monday Night Football. Oh.
But the Seahawks.
Traditionally, we've been good on Monday Night Football.
Roll the tape where I talk about how we don't lose in prime time in a previous episode, and all right, you know what? We're gonna win.
All right,
we're gonna win this one. It's Monday night. It's our people get Thanksgiving off. Always good, and it's time. I think everyone is feeling real down, and everyone is starting to feel a little pressure about their jobs. Mm-hmm. So they might be a little more driven to stop doing what they're doing and try something new.
Give me a score.
Sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need that believe that we keep wanting to see. Give you a score? Mm-hmm. Sure. Let's say the Seahawks 24, the Washington football team 20.
Oh, I like it. I think Russell is going to spend a lot of time with his boy Jesus on Thanksgiving. He's offering up those prayers. He's watching his tape. Sierra's giving him the pep talk.
The pep talk. The pep talk.
The pep talk.
Okay. Just checking about the hand motion there.
And he's also hanging out with his boy Win.
That's right.
Yeah.
His boy Win. That's
Win
right.
Wilson.
Win Wilson. Listen, Russell had some nice zip on the ball in this last game. They weren't the wobbly ducks that we saw. He was firing them down that field. I think he comes out a little bit better. I think we're gonna see Russell Wilson like we've seen him before. I think the Seahawks are gonna put up some points. I'm saying 24. Defense is gonna come through. Washington 13.
Woo!
All right.
Monday night, everybody. Curtis.
I can get behind this logic of it. I feel like eternal optimist that I am, and the fact that I hate that racist team and that racist owner, racist, sexist piece of shit owner who should get brought into Congress and made to atone for the nonsense that he's been peddling in that organization for decades. So I want them to win. I want the Seahawks to win for multiple reasons. I'm going to say that the defense just like really shows out on this one. And I think it's going to be 21-10.
I like it. Yeah. Curtis.
Seahawks 21-10.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm cutting against all your greens.
Oh, good.
It's okay.
Washington's a better team at the line of scrimmage. Their defensive line is better than our offensive line. And their offensive line is better than our defensive line. I think we're going to see some improvements out of Russ in the offense a bit, but it's not going to be enough. Washington wins 24-21, I say.
All right. I think Curtis's prediction is a lot more realistic than mine, but I need some good in my life. And so I am going to believe. I've got the spirit of Russell Wilson in me. Russell knows he's going to win. I know Russell's going to win. Yeah.
Have you been drinking that special water?
Russell's special water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banana.
Yeah.
If you need good in your life, anybody watching, just listen to our sharing and our dorkings at the end of every episode, because we bring all kinds of good, even if it's not about the Seahawks.
So stick around and we'll get some positive forces. Yeah. All right. No, I like that. Sure, Curtis, you can shit all over, our optimism. That's fine.
Hawkeye starts tonight.
When I need
I'm
bright
just
beacon of hope
accepting
going
suck.
into the dark holidays. But sure, yeah, the Seahawks are going to lose. All right.
You need to put some Christmas lights up in your soul, Curtis.
They're there. Just haven't turned them on yet.
Twinkle brighter.
So statistically, the Seahawks are still in.
I think we're going to beat the 49ers, though. I just have that feeling because we own that fucking team.
The 49ers, their trajectory is about on par with ours. We're two bad, just bottom feeder teams right now. We need to win because, if we end up getting the 7th pick, it's not even ours. It goes to the Jets.
Yeah. I'm going to get that.
All right. Which leads us into so how are we going to do for the rest of the season? We're still in it. Mm-hmm. We're 2 games behind a wild card. I said if we won one of the Green Bay and Cardinals games, we got life. And if we lose both of them, that's probably it for us. And I still stand by that. I don't think our chances for the playoffs are any good. Millie, how are we finishing this season? What's happening?
I mean, you're talking to the person who the year that we backed our way into the playoffs where everything magical had to happen. What was that, 2001, 2002, when we were like 7-9 and we made the playoffs. I don't think that's what's happening this year.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think we're gonna get that wild card spot, but I do think that we will see some more wins before this season's over. I think, it's the team we love. So we're gonna revel in the wins and we're gonna hang our heads on the losses. But this group of dorks are diehards, and we're not bandwagon fans. We're not gonna jump off. We're here to the bitter end. So the rest of the season is gonna be hard, 12s. But there'll be some bright spots and there'll be some wins, maybe starting with Monday.
Being a longtime Mariners fan and watching that team perform year after year after year after year for literally an entire generation. When you're in a losing season, I just look forward to the individual game rather than like the season as a whole. And I think that's pretty much where I'm at with this Seahawks team, which is like, I'm going to look for the fun moments in an individual game, the exciting moments. And if we get a win, that's fun. That's really exciting. I think it begs the question though, at this part in the season, do we start giving a look at some of the younger guys, maybe some of the guys that are playing on the bench, but we brought them here because we think there might be a future for them. Stone Forsythe, should we start giving him a look and pulling Dwayne Brown, a little bit? What do you think, Curtis?
I would. I loved what I saw. I can't believe it's taken this long to get DJ Dallas involved in the offense and like meaningful snaps in a game. They had to do it because of the depth situation,
necessity. Yeah,
but he looked great in the preseason, and for whatever reason, the coaches didn't want to go with the dude. I would love to see more out of him.
I want to see him returning some punts and
yeah.
Well, I want to see him. I want to see him more as a featured back because he's got a little bit of a Marshawn sort of quality to his running style. I think, he's probably not quite at that level, obviously, but he's an interesting player to me. I would love to see. Here's what I would love to see. I would love to see Darrell Taylor and Alton Robinson, the defensive end rotation more so than Benson Mayowa and Carlos Dunlap, because they're not the future of this team. Those two young guys are. Yeah. I would love to see I don't know what else. I guess I would love to see more D. Eskridge, involved in the offense. Yes. Yeah. I would love to see more. I think I don't think Dwayne Brown. I'm not convinced is going to be a part of this team this year.
He's not coming.
I don't even know if he's going to be a part of the league next year. Honestly, he looks like he's on his last kind of legs out there.
Like that last season that Walter Jones had, where you just looked like the guy was done.
Yeah, I just but
the last season that Mike Body had.
I don't know if we're going to see Pete doing that, though, because I think Pete is
the eternal optimist, the eternal competitor.
He's still thinking that, if they can pull out a win on Monday Night Football, he probably still thinks they've got a fighting chance to turn it around. And the schedule does start to soften up a bit. So I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I don't think they're going to have a winning record. I'm sort of projecting them in the the 7-10, 6-11 sort of range to me, looking at the schedule. I can't look at this team and think to myself, what do they do well? Here's the one thing I think they do well as a team. I think they've got a great punter. I think their punting is excellent.
It's so much fun to watch.
Huh? Yeah. They can't stop the run. They can't rush the passer. They can't cover. I don't believe in that defense at all. And then, they can't pass protect. They're not a great running team. They're not a great passing team. What are they? I just don't see.
They
So
can
I just
punt.
go with the young guys, and let's see what this team has with youth to work with next year, which is going to be like probably this huge fix-it job for Snyder.
Let me ask you, Alana. Let me ask you a question. Let's say we lose next week. Now the season's done. If you're Pete Carroll, do you try to talk Russell Wilson into taking the bench and just like resting up and healing and not putting him in any further danger?
I don't see how that's a possibility. Like,
Right.
I mean, Russ's middle name is Compete.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just don't think that there's any way that happens, and I think Pete knows that, and I don't like it. I think I hear a lot of this conversation in basketball where you get a star to sit out because the season's over, and and you're tanking for draft picks. There's no incentive to that because we don't have our first round draft pick, right? And
Right.
I still look at this season in the NFL is bananas. I mean,
it's bonkers.
The Bills lost consecutive weeks to the Jags and the Colts.
There's not a team in the league right now that is like a clear best.
Tennessee lost to the fucking Texans. Like,
right.
And we got the Texans on the schedule.
Yeah, but that was a game where Tannehill threw 4 interceptions. Like, that was a fluke of a game. Like, let's be real. I don't think that the Texans are world beaters by any stretch of the imagination. I still look at this season and I'm like, oh, it's win, loss, win. Like, and that puts us at 9-7, or sorry, 9-8, which is probably in the playoffs because of how bananas this season is. So I'm not necessarily. I don't think that A, you can, or B, you should try to convince Russell to hang up the cleats for the season.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you. I think there's a case that can be made. I don't think Russell would ever sign off on that.
And it's a guaranteed way to run him out of town. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be interesting. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of season left to play, and like I said, we're still only 2 games behind a wild card. So statistically, it's still quite a possibility.
It's still there to go get it. We just need to win out.
We just need to win out. Hey, it's
10-7, baby.
Happened. Yeah. Let's move on to dorking. I want
Dan, wait, I just want to be clear. So my fantasy team, it's 2-9. So I don't have a chance, right? All this positive thinking. I just thought I'd check.
It doesn't seem. So did you run up against Jonathan Taylor or Austin Eckler this week?
No, that's the saddest part.
What if somebody had both of those players on their team? Ooh.
I'm sure somebody does.
Yeah.
But
Millie, like Ted Lasso, believe. Yeah, believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, but I did win in the other league. I know everybody likes to keep up on this.
I do like to keep up. This is the drama that I'm looking for because I ain't getting it from the Seahawks.
But I am 10-1 in the dynasty. So again, Pete Carroll.
Jody Allen, if you're listening.
Jody Allen, if you're listening.
Yeah. Millie can replace John Schneider there.
Millie's got one good team.
Yeah.
It has been around for a while. And one team that stinks.
She's 10-1 in her franchise league.
And she has an inverse record in the other league. And she got knocked out of her whatever head chop off guillotine.
Oh yeah,
league
my guillotine
in like
league.
week
The
3.
guillotine league. Yeah.
Well,
It's yeah.
See how that goes next year. I understand the strategy a lot better now. But anyway, sorry. Let's change the subject.
No, I like it. Alana, what are you dorking out on?
So I took this week off, and one of the benefits of taking the week off for me is to like just kind of dip my feet into a bunch of different media. And so I've been watching a lot of different things right now. and I've
What's
also
your
been
favorite?
playing. Sort of. It's a show on HBO Max, and I streamed it all in a day. It's
Nice.
8 episodes, and it follows a non-binary Pakistani nanny and their relationship with a family. It's very queer. It's very good storytelling. It's wonderful dialogue. And the performance from the lead actor, whose name is Bilal Baig, is delightfully droll. It's a comedy. The fact that they're queer, that they're non-binary, and I think actually gender non-conforming is the more appropriate term.
Sure.
They don't get explicit in there, is like one of the least interesting things about them, which is a clear sign that it's a story written in an own voice, because a trans person would never write a story that's like, hey, I'm trans and everything that I do is trans. Yeah.
Right.
And so I highly recommend it. It's called Sort of. I also got down on the first 3 episodes of Wheel of Time, which the dialogue is garbage in that, but it gets better as the series goes along. I think it's worth sticking with. It was weird that once they got into the 3rd episode where they split up into 2 different stories, that it was significantly better storytelling. Like it was kind of night and day better storytelling.
Yeah.
And then I watched the first episode of Cowboy Bebop, which I thought was okay. And yeah,
I've heard mixed things about that one.
It's a mixed show. I think there's a lot to like about it, and it's got some glaring flaws. I hope Cowboy Bebop gets a 2nd season because I think its flaws are imminently fixable. So yeah, the original source material, and this will be my dorking thing because I watched
just before you do, and Hawkeye starts in 3 hours, so
that's right. So Cowboy Bebop, the original source material, the original anime was itself a sort of like pastiche love letter to Western tropes, noir, 70s kung fu, and it kind of melded them all into a really seamless, very interesting way. The live action show seems to be a pastiche and love letter to the anime. And I wish instead of like swimming in the tropes of the anime, it swam in the tropes of the source material that the anime swam in. And so if it like bumped down the silliness of that anime and bumped up sort of like the noir and Western and kung fu stuff, I think it would be a much better show. Because right now it's like a cosplay of the anime instead of being its own living, breathing thing. The fact that it's a cosplay of the anime is still really interesting because the anime is very interesting. The actors are also just really charismatic and they all have a great chemistry. The guy who plays Jet Black, Shakir, I think he's fantastic. I think he channels Jet Black perfectly. John Cho is very likable as Spike. He's a very different Spike. But I like sort of like the world weary take that he has on the character. And then Pineda, the actress they got for Faye, does some wonderful work. And the TV show did a lot of work on that character for the better. The anime was a very outdated take on, like a female assassin. But I have hopes for it. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say. And I think that its flaws are fixable if you give it some time.
I had one other thing quickly to shout out, which is the last episode of Succession that aired was the best one that they've ever had. And it was,
you watched it, right?
I fucking loved it. It was phenomenal.
Fucking loved it. I thought it was, I agree. I think it was the best episode of its entire run.
Yes.
I loved how Stephen Root and Justin Kirk just like fucking slid in like they've been there for 3 seasons. And I just want to say that bathroom scene with Justin Kirk.
Why didn't they just fuck in that bathroom?
And Kieran Culkin was the hottest thing I've seen on TV in a long time.
So much sexual chemistry. And I just wanted to see him fuck. Like I need those 2 characters to fuck. And I don't. Right. When
I don't
they're talking about, you know, Mussolini or H or like God. And then the acting from Matthew McFadden in the diner scene against Kendall.
Just heartbreaking.
Like, there were like 9 layers in everything he said. And then we also started season 2 of The Great, and there was a line that was fucking fuck. And it was just that was the line. It was brilliant. Sorry, I'm dominating, so I'm gonna pass.
I'm done too. Curtis, what are you dorking out on?
We finally watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
What did you think?
Heather and I, my spouse and I, first movie we've been able to watch in quite some time together because we have a 3-year-old. Freaking loved it.
I loved it.
It's one of my favorite Marvel films. I mean, it's up there with the Guardians films and the Ragnarok and Black Panther and Iron Man and all those ones. I thought it was beautifully shot. I loved the pacing of it. I loved the acting of it. I actually thought the real kind of Mandarin character, that was the best antagonist, sympathetic villain that I've seen in a Marvel film. And Marvel has done like an excellent job at producing those type of characters.
Yeah.
He was by far and away the most compelling. And I think for me, it hit home with the whole father thing. Mm-hmm. The film is so centered around family, and I just love the whole storytelling of the the 2 kids and the mother and the father, and the whole yin yang thing that the parents were, that the kids sort of had inside of both of them. And it's just, I thought it was a really beautiful film. I thought it was beautiful to look at. I've got a question to throw out to the 3 of you. Have you all seen this film?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Was the lighting too dark at the end? In the last sequence? Because I've got a friend that like has been complaining, like every time he like sends me a text about some sort of Marvel film or something like that, one of the first things he starts bitching about, Matt, I'm talking about you, is the lighting in these things. And I'm like watching this film and I'm just sitting there like, this is gorgeous.
I don't recall.
He's sending me a picture. We're battling right now in a text semi. I mean, it's all tongue in cheek and stuff, but I'm asking him, does he need to go see the eye doctor? But he's like showing me a picture of like the dragon underwater. I can't spoil it for the listeners, but like, I mean, it's just this one little thing where it's underwater. It's too dark. And I'm like,
I don't think the lighting was too dark. I think that the contrast was off. I agree that it wasn't on the TV screen watching from home, streaming Disney Plus. The difference between the dragon and the water and the additional negative space was not clear. It was not a vibrant image.
Okay.
So I think that it's about contrast and not about lighting.
But I see that in a lot of stuff that I watch. We actually
apparently he does too, and he complains about it every single time, and just like this is like
we just got a new TV, right? And so now all of a sudden we have a whole new problem of figuring out what setting to be on. But there's suddenly, there's a lot more black because it's a newer, nicer TV, and the more depth you have in all of these things. And there are certain shows that I've seen where it's driving me crazy, and then there's other shows that those contrasts are really heightened, so you're able to see better. And I think a lot of this just comes down to the way that these movies are made and that we are watching them at home. We're not watching them in a darkened theater. We're not watching them in the optimal way in which they were designed to be seen. And I get frustrated by a number of TV shows that love to do these really dark scenes. And I'm trying to watch in my living room on a Saturday at noon and I can't see it. And there's certain, I just stop watching. Like, I got to watch this at night in the bedroom because I'm not going to be able to see it.
Right.
So there's something to be said, I think, for the atmosphere in which you are in when you are watching these shows and movies as well.
Yeah. I never pick up on any of these things he complains about. So I started to like legitimately, like as I'm watching this film, I'm going like, okay, I seriously think there's something wrong with Matt's eyes. Like, how do I say this nicely to him?
Listen, Matt, you need to go to your optometrist.
Maybe Matt, maybe you're colorblind.
You might be. We're worried.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm just like, should he be
out.
driving behind the wheel? Like, I don't know.
I just want to throw in.
I'm sorry, you're not here to defend yourself, Matt, but you gotta go.
He should be a guest on this because he's
all right.
One of the funniest.
We're gonna bring Matt in to defend himself.
I do want to throw out that in that movie, I really loved the reemergence of Ben Kingsley. I don't.
Oh my God.
Trevor. He was so good.
So like Iron Man 3 is like one of my top favorite films of this whole thing because it was directed by Shane Black and it was so
random,
bang bang in the MCU, and
it's so weird. I loved seeing that character just randomly come back. Like, oh yeah, sure.
It was great.
If you've been paying attention, you understand who this is.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Millie, what are you dorking out on?
What's that?
What are you dorking out on?
Dorking out on you dorks. You're fascinating. I did just finish the morning show, the second season of the morning show.
It was trash.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It was really uneven. It certainly didn't grab me the way that the first season did. And I feel like there's some storylines. I'm like, that's the storyline I want. And that's barely the storyline you get. So it feels like I feel like in the olden days when you were allowed to have a sophomore season that was uneven because you're trying to figure out what you are beyond your first season. It felt that way. Which characters are going to stick? What story do we care about? Like, how long should Jennifer Aniston live? Like, maybe that COVID just, let's get real with that storyline.
So she killed Chip, right? Like with that whole scenario, like Chip dead now, right? Like if Chip not dead, then like
that was his choice, man.
I know it was his choice.
That guy's got issues,
right? But he dead now, right? Like
everyone around her just dies. That's how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy that, and I was trying to think of like, what am I truly dorking out over? Like, what every week, and am I just like, oh yeah, I gotta watch it? And it's actually this season's Project Runway. I am really enjoying this season's Project Runway. The designers are insanely good. Usually there is, this sort of the top group that emerges within, say, the first 3 to 4 challenges, 3 to 4 weeks. This group, with the exception of a few, and anyone could come out with the designs that are going to get them to Fashion Week. And just about every designer is truly an established designer who has a storefront and who really suffered through the last year and a half with how to deal with a very small, non-lucrative business during COVID, when people weren't even buying new clothes because they didn't need to, because they were home. Their personal stories and what they've gone through just to be there is great, but what they are putting out, which is what the show is really about, the fashion that's coming out of these people, is to die for. I've just never seen a season with so many talented, likable people in it, and can't wait to see what happens next.
I didn't even know a new season of Project Runway was out, and I do really like the show. I got to check that out.
Is that on Peacock?
I don't know.
Okay.
Are you watching it live like an old person, Millie?
No, I recorded on my DVR.
Oh my God.
It might be because it's on Bravo. So I'm not sure what it re-airs on.
Millie out here watching TV like it's 2003.
It's back on Bravo now. It's no longer on Lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different than it used to be. Christian Siriano is.
I knew that. Yeah.
Is the is the Tim Gunn, and this season actually they don't have a supermodel host, period. So it's very different, especially this season. But yeah, it's back on Bravo.
Okay.
Because they're always advertising Lower Decks, and that's Bravo. So there you go.
All right.
Cool.
Great. I'm done dorking out. How about y'all?
For
I'm
sure.
looking forward to that Seahawks versus Washington game. We're gonna kick ass, Curtis. We're gonna win. We're gonna win one for the 12s.
I cannot wait to be proven wrong.
I am
Great.
looking
And it won't
forward
be
to cooking my first turkey, and I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
I want to say that too. Happy Thanksgiving to the 12s. You should check
Happy
out Curtis's
Thanksgiving.
blog, 12life.com. He's gonna have a Thanksgiving post about the Seahawks. I just made that up, so Curtis has to work on something.
Yeah, that'll be interesting with my Native American background.
Let's keep that in
I
mind.
want to see that. Oh, and we're playing the racial slurs, Curtis. You
And the
have to
racial
make this
slurs, the team formerly known as the racial
Oh,
slurs.
it's
Yeah.
writing
Perfect.
itself. Okay, that's enough nonsense. We're here every Wednesday. Check us out. Follow us. Tell your friends. Once again, my name is Daniel for Alana, Curtis, Millie, and the rest of the 12s saying goodbye and go Hawks
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
and
Go
happy
Hawks.
Thanksgiving.